writing section, right? We started working on task number 2 of the writing section. Remember how many questions or how many tasks do we have in the writing section? We have 2, right? 2 questions in the writing section. The first is the first is the interactive writing, and the second, the one we're doing right now, is the independent one, right? We said that it doesn't depend on anything. It's basically just your ideas, your own thoughts, your form of writing. You don't have to summarize anything else. Let's see. Okay, guys. And I remember that we already started working on an example, right? Does anyone remember what the question was about, the question that we were doing?
Honesty.
Exactly. It was about honesty, right? And we have here the question. It said, do you agree or disagree with the following statement? And it says, sometimes it is better to be dishonest with people than to always tell them the truth, right? We have these 2 options. Do we agree that it's better to be dishonest sometimes, or do we disagree? Do we feel that we should always be honest? And we already made our outline. We decided that our option was going to be that it's better to always tell the truth. So we are not, we are disagreeing with this claim, right? So we disagree that it's sometimes better to be dishonest. And we started writing already the essay. I showed you the template. We saw that it had how many paragraphs?
4.
4 paragraphs, exactly. You need 1 first paragraph, which is going to be your introduction, 2 body paragraphs, which is the body of your response, and finally the conclusion, right? That is it. We already did the introduction as well. Can anyone tell me what the 3 sentences are? What was the first sentence, the one in yellow? What do we do in that sentence for the introduction?
The topic in general.
Exactly. We just talk about the topic in general. So in this case, if it's about telling the truth or about honesty, we're going to talk about honesty in general, right? And we said most people would agree that honesty or telling the truth is of paramount importance when it comes to relationships. That was the first sentence. What did we do in the second sentence? What is this one in blue?
It's about our answer.
Exactly. In the second sentence, you have to state your answer, which is your opinion, and it had to be very direct, right? You just have to be very simple and very easy to understand when you give that sentence. So we said, personally, I'm convinced that it's always better to tell the truth, no matter the circumstance. So it's pretty convincing, pretty straightforward. And finally, what was the last sentence, the one in violet? It's just a transition, right? So that we finish the introduction and start with the body. And it has nothing interesting. It's just copy and paste. You can memorize the transition sentence. Here we said, I hold this opinion for 2 reasons, which will be addressed in the following paragraphs. And that was the introduction. Any questions before we continue with the body paragraphs? No questions? Okay, guys. So let's start. In the body paragraphs, the 2 basic things you guys need to have, we said, were the reason and the example, right? Reason and an example, or reason and details. That is what you need to have in your body paragraph. In the first sentence, we said, we're also going to highlight it, maybe with this pink color. In the first sentence, what you have to do is directly state your reason. And it has to be really easy to understand. Same as your opinion. Your reasons should be pretty clear. So how can we do that? What was our reason? Can anyone please remind me? What was our first reason? Why did we say that it's always better to be honest?
And the reason was that people expect honesty.
Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and say that direct, right to the point. So how can we do that? Eddie, what would you write there? How can you put the words together and come up with the sentence? To start,
We can say people deserve to, you know, people deserve, I don't know, or it could be the same. People expect honesty, I guess. I don't know how I can change it.
okay, people expect honesty. Just like that, isn't it a little bit short? What can we add or what can we change? Start, people expect honesty. Maybe Camila, what would you add? Maybe we can try to be a bit more objective. We're saying people expect honesty. Okay, maybe why? Why do people expect honesty? Or what would happen if we don't tell them the truth, right? If we lie to them. So what can we say? Mediums? If you guys want, we can change the reason too. So, but it's up to you. What would you say?
We could add people expect honesty while they are in a relationship.
Okay. All right, I like that honesty. And that's a good tip to try not to be so broad. Your essay, you can see it from one perspective. So here you were talking about honesty within relationships, right? In this paragraph. Maybe in the other one, we can talk about honesty like in your professional life, right? And we can have an example of how somebody cannot be honest, maybe or lie in your resume. So that's another good way to like limit a little bit the range of your essay, right? So I really like that idea. Okay, so people expect honesty while they are in a relationship. Great. So that was the first sentence, right? Now the second sentence is optional. Honestly speaking, it is optional. You could add it if you see that your paragraph is too short. Remember how many lines should your paragraph have? Your body paragraph?
4.
No, not in this case. In this essay, your body paragraphs should be at least 5 lines long. So if you see that your body paragraph isn't 5 lines, then you could add the sentence at the end. Okay? And if not, then you don't need the sentence really. Okay? What is most important, more than this sentence, is the example. Believe me, I would say that is the most important part of it all. Giving an example. Okay? It should be about 60% or more of your paragraph. Now let's talk about examples. Okay, I think yesterday I was telling you a little bit about that. Right, but let's see more detail. So when you give examples, you have 3 options. Okay, we said, I don't know if you guys remember. The first option was giving a personal experience, right? Telling a personal experience. So this is usually a single past experience, right? One specific event, something that happened in the past, one single time. right? So for example, we can say, maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago, I was in a relationship with this person that I met, I don't know, in a party, and I lied to her in this, I don't know, in this way, or she lied to me, and this is what happened, right? So that could be telling a personal experience. I'm gonna tell about an event, illustrating what I'm saying, right? Illustrating why people deserve honesty. So that is one example that you can give. Now, the thing about those examples, they are really great, and they are usually the best thing you can do in this essay, because they help you, one, they help you be very specific, right? And remember that they tell you use specific details. So when you tell a personal story, you can be very specific. You can say, well, I met this girl at my cousin's birthday on February last year. So you can be really specific if you want. And that is something that they are looking for. They want you to be very personal and very specific. So that is one reason why this is a good thing to use. And the second thing, and probably the most important thing, is that it allows you to show a lot of grammar. It is great for grammar. If you remember, when we were seeing the rubrics they use, we said that one of them was grammar variety, right? And that's honestly a bit hard to show. For instance, in the first essay we did, in the integrated one, and the one we're gonna do at the end, for those of you who weren't here yet, it is harder to show grammar variety. But in this one, using personal experiences as examples, you can show grammar. You're probably gonna use other tenses. You know, if you talk about a past event, you're gonna be forced to use the past tense. You're gonna say, I lied to my girlfriend or boyfriend about this, right? Or I lied to my partner, to my spouse, whatever it is. But you're gonna be using other tenses other than just the simple one, the simple present one, right? And you can use conditionals too. You can say, so if I hadn't lied to my partner, maybe I would still be in the same relationship. So you're using a lot of grammar, different structures, different tenses, and it is really good to show that, all right? So that is the first type of example that you can use. Now, what is the thing with this example is that if you're not an advanced student already, and if you feel that you're not too comfortable using other tenses, using this type of grammar, because believe me, many students make mistakes using tenses, all right? That is one of the most common mistakes. So if you're one of those students and you're still not there yet, then it's better not to give a personal experience, because you want to avoid making mistakes, and therefore you want to avoid using other tenses. So if that is your case, then just go with a more general or broad example. So with a more general example, you talk about things in general. You imagine a hypothetical situation, right? This isn't something that happened to you. This is something that could happen to anybody. So for instance, you could say, let's say that somebody is in a relationship. If they want to keep the relationship, and if they want, I don't know, if they see the relationship as a long-term commitment, then they shouldn't lie about certain types of things. Or you can imagine a situation, right? And be like, if you are on a relationship, and this thing happens, then this is what you should do. So I'm not using more tenses than the simple present. It's easier to manage the grammar when you give a general example, okay? So that is another option, especially if you're not too comfortable using other tenses. And a third option, which I don't really recommend that much, don't exaggerate using this one, is stating facts, all right? So this is obviously something that you're gonna make up. This doesn't have to be true, and they're not gonna check, and they don't care if it's true or not. But you can make up something. You can say, as a matter of fact, I read in the BBC magazine that there was a study that revealed that people, or I don't know, yeah, the people that lie in relationships tend to break up sooner than those who don't. Or people that lie in relationships, or that are used to lie in relationships, tend to break up 2 years sooner than people who don't lie, right? Or maybe you can make up something about marriages and say most divorces are caused by lies. You know, so you make up something. And you can be very specific too. You can say 85% of the causes for divorces in the US are due to lies within the relationship. So I'm totally making something up. I don't know if that's true or not. Of course, it has to make a little sense, but it doesn't necessarily have to be true. You know, and that's another way to kind of support your reason. All right, so these are ways in which not only examples, but ways to support or justify your reason. So you can either give personal experiences as examples, you can talk about hypothetical situations as examples, or you can state facts, right? Like saying 80% of US, I don't know, closed divorce cases have been reported to be due to lies within the relationship, right? Something like that. Is this okay? Do you guys, is it clear? Do you have any questions about this? Those three options? Now, another thing that I'd recommend you guys do is if in the first body paragraph, in this one, in the first body paragraph, you're gonna give a personal experience. For the second one, you don't need to give another personal experience, okay? So if in the first one you already had a personal example, then in the second one, you can just have a general one or just complement it with a fact, okay? So you just need to have one personal example. You don't need to like focus too much on making up a story because everything is going to be made up. You know, you don't have to have a personal experience that illustrates this, but you could just make it up. Okay, guys? Another thing that I'd say is I really recommend you guys, if you are planning on using a personal example, try to have it in your first body paragraph, not in the second. Okay, and this is because in the extreme case that you end up running out of time, then this paragraph will be really complete, all right? And the evaluators will see that. So it's better to always have it in the first body paragraph. And in the second one, you can go with something simpler than that, all right? Any questions about that? Okay, guys, so that is gonna be not only the third sentence, but you need to have more than one sentence. Supporting your reason, you need to have 1, 2, or 3 sentences, but you gotta have more than one, all right? So these are gonna be from 1 to 3 sentences, and if you want, of course, you can have more. Now, let's give a personal experience, all right? If we have a personal experience, the first sentence of your example should be giving context. All right, so in your first sentence, you're gonna focus on telling me when, where. That is the context of the example. You know, so you're gonna tell me when I was a teenager or when I was living in Canada, you know? So you're gonna give context for your example. What can we say? Any ideas of an example that we can give? We have my personal experience plainly illustrates this reality, right? Now let's start giving a personal example. We're gonna totally make it up. First thing, give some context about when this happened or or where it happened. Okay, so what can we say? Sergio, what would you say?
I don't know, maybe an experience with friends or a girlfriend.
Okay, good.
When I
Yes.
was 20 years old, I had a girlfriend, I don't know, or a friend. and try.
Okay, I had a, let's say. All right, what else? How can we complement this?
I had a friend that used to hang out with a girl,
Okay, I used to hang out with a girl.
but she already had a boyfriend.
Okay,
And
but
he
she
didn't,
already had a boyfriend.
he didn't expect that.
And she didn't expect. Okay, good. All right. So in this case, if you see, this is the context, right? When I was 20 years old, I had a friend that used to hang out with a girl, is the context for the example. Now, after the context comes the what, right? What happened? The events. So what happened? Describe the events, right? Now, when you describe the events, you want to be as detailed as you can because that's why they are expecting, right? Specific details. So we're going to say, we're going to try to divide this sentence. It is just one sentence, right? You know, if you think about it, this from my personal experience up until that, it is just one sentence. And if you think about it, it's a bit long. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to divide, we're going to break it up. We're going to break it down to maybe 2 or 3 sentences. Now, the thing is, where are we going to do that? Where should we divide these up? One tip I can give you right now is try not to use this type of connectors. Try to avoid using words like but, so, and too much, right? Why? Because they are a little bit more informal. There are better options. So we're gonna say, when I was 20 years old, I had a friend that used to hang out with a girl. Now, in that connector that we use, we're gonna place a period. Now, instead of saying but, what other option do we have?
However,
Okay, great. So we're gonna say, however, she already had a boyfriend and he didn't expect that. Okay, now this has a relationship with this, right? That people expect honesty. I really love that relationship, right? We're connecting the example with the reason. But I would suggest that we leave this till the end, right? That he didn't expect this, or he didn't expect his girlfriend to lie to him at the end, right? As a like kind of like a closing idea. So what happened? She had a boyfriend. So did he find out? Did we know that she had a boyfriend? Did we tell him? What happened? What are we gonna say?
sorry, maybe before the however, we can add that I had a friend that used to hang out with a girl, and he asked her, um he asked her before, like he asked if she had a girlfriend, and she lied to him. She said that he doesn't.
And she lied to him, right? She lied to him, just like that.
Yeah, it's the idea, I think.
Okay, good. You know, speaking of the tenses, for example, here we're already using past tenses, right? But here we have the opportunity of using another tense as well. We can use the past perfect, right? We can say he had asked her before if she had a boyfriend, you know? That would be like the correct tense to use because this happened before the sequence of events that we're gonna tell right now. This happened before, right? So he had asked her before if she had a boyfriend and she lied to him, okay? Maybe we can say, and she said no, right? Or I don't know. And she said, okay, let's just leave it there. So Is it okay? What else do we say? What happened? What happened? You can do something like that, right? If she had a boyfriend and she liked him, she already had one. Or she did have one. Okay. What else? What do we say? What happened after this?
He did some investigation work.
Okay. Did
And,
some
and find out that it was his friend,
hey,
another friend.
all right, that it was so it wasn't us, right? It was another friend.
Yeah.
Was another, maybe you can say another friend of ours, right? So it was like a common friend.
Mhm.
Okay. Right, maybe here I'm like reading it again and it's a bit confusing, right? We're saying here, ask her if she had a boy, maybe because we're connecting everybody's ideas, right? So it's not just one person who's doing the whole thing. So we can say he had asked her if she had a boyfriend, and although she did have one, she lied to him and said no, right? Something like that. Although she did have one, she lied to him and said no. I think that's easier to understand. Now, he did some investigation work and found out that it was another friend of ours. When we're telling stories, I recommend, well, and this goes for everything, you know, it's always a great thing to use these transition words, right? Like however, as a result, therefore, so you can see where to use them. For example, here, I'm thinking that you could use afterwards or after some time, you know, after some time dating or like something that connects the ideas. What can we say? There.
After some days of having his heart broken, she did.
Of having, okay, so they already broke up?
Yeah.
Okay, after some days of having broken up, he did some investigation work, good, and found out that he was, and found out maybe the truth, right? Because first thing, he has to find out that she had a boyfriend. And found out that maybe she was lying to him, or she had been lying to him the entire time. And her boyfriend was another friend of ours, right? Something like that. Is it okay? What do you like? What do you guys want to change? Maybe that's too long, right? We can place a period. Boyfriend was. Maybe something like this. What was even worse, or to top it all, maybe you can say, you know, it's like cherry on top, you know, to top it all up, your boyfriend, it turns out that that her boyfriend was another friend of ours, right? Is it okay? Any suggestions here? Is it okay? Okay. Now, that is everything that happened, right? That's like what happened. If you see, we have the context. This is the context. What happened is that basically she lied to him and he found out, right? And then after the context and after the events, you need something like this. This is really important, probably the most important part of your example. You need some resolution. Now, this resolution is basically some closing ideas. This is where we're gonna add that he didn't expect that, okay? Because this is where we're gonna connect the example to the reason. So we're gonna connect all of this example and we're gonna try to conclude, like, because of this experience is that I believe that people should be honest while being in a relationship, right? So that is where we're gonna add that. Now, how can we do that? What can we say? How does this affect him? Was he depressed for a while? Did he stop believing in love? Like what happened? Like what was the effect of this?
He got into depression.
Okay. Good.
After some months,
So he, after, I'm sorry,
after some months,
there's
he
some,
started working out at the gym.
okay. Started working. He started going to the gym, all right? And he recovered, right? That is like the idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. It's okay, but I don't know if that would be showing what we're saying, right? Maybe hearing the reason, we need to be a little bit more dramatic. So people expect honesty while they're in a relationship, but why? Or what happens if we're not honest in a relationship? What do you guys think?
Maybe since that day or that event, he stops to believe in love.
Okay. Yes, we can say that. Since that event, he stopped believing in love. Maybe you can say like as an expression, ever since that happened, right? Like ever since that time. He stopped believing in love. Okay, I like that because it is more dramatic, right? We're saying that lying is a bad thing because people deserve honesty, right? Maybe because people get hurt and people are somehow like they are somehow affected by these lies, right? So that's what we want to show. So we want to show how this friend of ours was affected because of the lies of his girlfriend and how it affected him, right? That we want to emphasize that a little bit more because we're saying that lying is a bad thing. So we need to show through this example why it's a bad thing. You know? So ever since that happened, he stopped believing in love. Anything else we want to add? Maybe we can say something like he clearly did not deserve to go through such an experience, such a disappointing experience. Yeah, right. An experience. And then we can say, right, he didn't, or he expected honesty in his relationship, something like that. You know, so this will be like the closing idea, that he didn't deserve peace and that he expected honesty and that he was affected because of the lies, right? Because that is what we're trying to show. That is our main reason, right? That people deserve honesty, that people expect honesty in relationships, and that otherwise it affects the relationship and it affects, the people who, the person who's being lied to, right? So that's what we're trying to show here. Maybe we could add that in here as well, right? We could say like as this way of explaining the reason, I think it would be really useful to clarify things, you know, so people expect honesty while they are in a relationship. What else can we say here related to the reason? Now that we have the example, what else can we say? What can we say in here? To explain a little bit more this, because it isn't so clear, right? People expect honesty, yes, but why? Why do they expect honesty? Why is it important to be honest in a relationship? Any ideas? Maybe Micaela, what would you say? What would you write? Come on, guys. You can maybe say something like, in fact, or as a matter of fact, lies break, like sooner or later are discovered and they break relationships, right? And affect the people in it. Or lies are sooner or later uncovered. And they end up breaking relationships and affecting negatively people right? Something like this. So I'm saying, in fact, lies are sooner or later uncovered and they end up breaking relationships and affecting negatively the people in them. So that's basically what we said in the example, right? We said that the lie that she had said broke the relationship they had and affected him mainly, right? That is what we're saying. Can you guys see the relationship between a reason in the example we gave, or you see that off topic? What do you think? Is it okay, guys? What would you change from this paragraph? What would you change?
Here in the first sentence, it said that they end up breaking relationships, but in our personal experience, we say that after they broke up,
Exactly.
it's
I like
covered.
that observation. Yes, great. I like that observation. I really like it a lot. That's true. And honestly, they have to be closely related. So yes, as you're saying, in our example, the lie wasn't really the reason why they broke up, right? Maybe we can say, what can we do to improve that? Do we change the reason? Do we change the example?
We can say that after some days of hanging up, or after some days of being together, he did some
Yeah.
investigation work.
Good. After some days of being together, he did some investigation work and found out she had been lying to him the entire time. Rova, it turns out that okay. We're not saying like explicitly that they broke up, but I think it's kind of understood, right? That they broke up in the end. Or should we add it? Should we say in some part that they broke up? What do you guys think? It's okay, right? I think it's okay. Okay, guys, so I highlighted it in different colors. As you can see, the yellowish one is the context, right? I'm saying when I was 10 years old, I had this friend, I met this girl at this party. It was my cousin's birthday. It was my biology professor. So I'm giving the context of who, when, where. Then I'm basically in the green part, explaining what happened, right? The events, the sequence of events. Try to always use some transitions in there. Like first, he asked her if she had a boyfriend. Then this happened. Afterwards, he found out. After some time, they broke up. Like as if it wasn't enough, this other thing happened. Right? So try to use those transitions always to tell the story, right? This is what happened. Obviously, what happened has to be related to the reason and to the topic. The topic here is about lying. So what happened has to be that somebody lied to another somebody. And then we have to have the resolution, which is basically like our closing ideas. We're saying how the example connects to the reason, right? How these people in our example are illustrating what we're saying, that uh, people should be honest in relationships, that lies break relationships and they affect negatively the people in them. So we need to kind of conclude that based on the example we had. Do you see what we did? Is it clear? Any questions so far? Is it okay? Do you have any questions? No? Okay, so basically body parts. Basically, both of them are going to be exactly the same. So in the second body paragraph, you need to do exactly what we did in the first. You're going to have your reason. You can have one more sentence explaining your reason. Then you need to have some details. Now, as you can see here, when you give a personal experience, it turns out to be pretty long. Right? We have like 2, 4, 6, 8 lines in this paragraph alone. So the second one, believe me, doesn't have to be this long. That's why I told you. In the first one, try to have a personal experience. And in the second one, you can go with something more basic, something simpler. So you can state a fact or you can have a general example, a general idea. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this long because you won't have that much time. So in the first one, try to do your best. Try to use all the grammar you can. So we use different tenses. Maybe we're missing a conditional in here, but we have good grammar, right? We have compound sentences, we have good connectors, we have tenses, so it's okay. Now in the second one, it doesn't have to be that complex. You do the same, but you try to make it simpler, make it shorter. Okay? Any questions about that for the second one? No questions? All right, guys. Now let's go with the conclusion then. In the conclusion, this is important. What we're gonna do in the conclusion, now here is what when we're gonna summarize the two reasons. Remember I told you not to summarize the reasons in the introduction, so we're gonna do it in the conclusion. What we're gonna do is something like this. We're gonna say in short, which means in conclusion, having seen that, which means habiendo visto que. Now here you need to summarize the two reasons that you have given. So the first reason is that you need to be honest in relationships. Do you guys remember what was our second reason? Does anyone remember?
Not feeling guilty.
Exactly, that you don't feel guilty, right? To avoid feeling guilty. So you're gonna summarize those two reasons. And you're gonna do it very briefly and very directly to me. It has to be really concise. So we're gonna say, having seen that people deserve honesty within a relationship, and our second reason, right, which was that you don't feel guilty. We were gonna say people deserve honesty within a relationship, and by telling the truth, we avoid, maybe you can say feelings of guilt, right, or feeling guilty. Basically, we have summarized our two reasons, right? Reason number one is that people deserve honesty within a relationship. That was what we said in this paragraph. And reason number two is that by telling the truth, we avoid feelings of guilt, right? That is what we're saying is our second reason. That is what we do there. We say, habiendo visto que las personas merecen honestidad en una relación y que al decir la verdad evitamos sentirnos culpables. And then we say, I believe it is safe to say, which means, creo que es justo decir que, I believe it's safe to say that. And here, what you have to do is restate one more time your opinion, which is the part in blue here. So you need to restate your answer to the question once again, all right? Obviously, you're not gonna repeat, you're not gonna copy and paste and say, I believe it is safe to say that. It is always better to tell the truth no matter the circumstance. You're gonna say the same, but in different words, okay? So how can we paraphrase that opinion? What would you say, Jose, are you there? All right, then maybe, Wilder, what would you say? What would you write here to paraphrase this opinion that we already have?
I believe it is safe to say that lying is not always good.
Right? But not always, right? We would have to say that lying is never good. Because we're saying that it's always better to tell the truth. So that means that it's never better to tell a lie. Right? So we're gonna say lying is never, what's another word for good? Remember, best way to improve vocabulary is to check out synonyms for the adjectives. So avoid saying things like good, bad, important, ugly, pretty. So what can we say instead of good?
It's never the best option.
Okay, yes. Lying is never the best option. Lying is never acceptable. Lying is never convenient, or something like that. Good. And that's it, right? That is your conclusion. I know it seems short, but short is okay. Remember, the most important part here are your body parts. Everything else isn't that important. That's why I told you in the beginning, right? When I was telling you, giving you some tips, I said, don't focus too much on the intro or in the conclusion. And honestly, you won't have a lot of time for the conclusion. It's something that you do really rushed. And you don't have to think, you just have to paraphrase, right, in the conclusion. If you had more time, like if you had extra time to add something else, at the end, you can add like a short advice or a short tip for everyone who's reading this and be like, therefore, we should all try to be honest with the people we love, right? Something like that. Or if you know a quote, you can add it, but that is completely optional. You know, it's like an additional thing. That is basically the essence. Remember the most important part, your body parts. Okay? What do you guys think now? Do you have any questions about what we did today? Or about our essay, anything? Any questions? Okay, guys, so here's what we're gonna do. This is due tomorrow, by the way. You have to write an essay. Those of you who were here for the first essay, you have already written the essay, right? The first essay, and I already sent you the feedback. I hope that you check it. I did it today. Now we're gonna do our second essay, okay? So please, this is due tomorrow. Write an essay based on this question. I'm gonna send this question through our group chat, don't worry, okay? And I'm gonna send all the instructions the way that I did for the previous one. Everything will be there, but I'm just giving you a heads up. For tomorrow, you're gonna have to write the essay. Remember that you only have 30 minutes, right? Be honest, set a timer, you have 30 minutes to write yes. Use the template we have. I'm gonna check it and maybe we can even check it together, right? If you send it too late, then we can check it in class. But if you send it before 5 p.m., then I can check it before and send you feedback and we can work on it in class. Okay? So please, this is due tomorrow because tomorrow we're gonna continue practicing the same essay. All right, and I'm gonna give you more tips. So any questions now before we go?
I have a question, as I am new here. Is this practice in Google Classroom?
Oh no, I'm just gonna send it through our group chat, WhatsApp group chat.
WhatsApp? Ah, okay.
The instructions will be there.
Okay, perfect.
Any other question? Okay, guys. So please,
Teacher,
yes, Camila.
would you please send us this presentation?
Yes, of course, sure thing.
Thank you.
And I'll do it right now so that you can have it on your Zoom chat. Okay, guys, already sent. So please write the essay, make sure that you write it because this is what we're gonna do tomorrow. This is what we're gonna work on. I'm gonna give you tips based on these essays. We're gonna see the essays that are already written and I'm gonna give you tips based on that, you know, so it's really important that you write. Any questions then before we go? Anything else? Okay, guys, then please don't go yet. I'm gonna start today's surveys. Today we have to complete 2. So please, I'm sending you the first one right now, which is the one we do every day. And after you're done filling it out, I'll send you the other one, please. Okay. Just missing one. All right. Well, thank you very much. Now I'm gonna send you the other one, please. All right, there you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining today. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.
Thank you, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Me,
Guys.
bye.